Welcome back, guys. So today we'll be starting with a new topic, that is spinal reflexes. Okay, that is spinal reflexes. So in spinal reflexes, what really happens? There are actually 5 components in spinal reflexes. Okay, so we have this diagram to illustrate about that 5 components in the spinal reflexes. What are those? We always begin with receptor. Yes, this is your first component, that is receptor. Second component is our afferent. What is this afferent? Which input is that? Sensory or motor? Yes, it is sensory input. Sensory input. This is your second one. The third one is your spinal cord. Third one is your spinal cord, right? The fourth one is your, which one? This motor output or efferent. That's it. That is your fourth one. Fifth one is your response. What response you are going to give? Whether it is a muscle contraction or muscle relaxation or any kind of response. This is what we call it as reflex arc. So reflex arc has got 5 components: receptor, sensory input, spinal cord, efferent, that is the motor output, and the last one is response. Yes, have you got the idea? Right. Now what you have to know is that you have something called as stretch reflex. What is this stretch reflex? See, this is the reflex of contraction. First point is the reflex of contraction of the muscle to stretch. When a skeletal muscle, that is the skeletal muscle, is having the intact nerve supply. Intact nerves. Can you understand? The reflex contraction of the muscle to stretch the muscle, that is the skeletal muscle, with the intact nerve supply. We call this as stretch reflex. This stretch reflex is of 2 types. Okay, it is of 2 types, that is phasic stretch reflex and then tonic stretch reflex. Can you understand? So these are all passive stretch. What stretch is this? Passive stretch. What is this passive stretch? Listen carefully. When the examiner stretches the muscle, that is the examiner stretches the muscle, like for example, why I included in that example is that knee jerk. What happens in knee jerk? That is, with the help of the knee hammer, they are going to stretch the quadriceps. And when the knee hammer stretches the quadriceps, it's going to cause contraction. Now, who contracted the muscle? Whether the examiner or the patient? The examiner stretches the muscle, not the patient. That's why I call it as passive stretch. Can you understand? Now, anything we should be knowing sensor, that is the receptor we saw. Yes. So your receptor is our skeletal muscle, we saw in the definition itself. Your receptor is the skeletal muscle. Okay. Now when this sensor, that is it sense, that is the stretch we saw. When it stretches, what really happens? We will see. It stretches mainly the muscle spindle in the skeletal muscle. Muscle spindle. What is this muscle spindle? Listen carefully. This is how you draw the muscle, right? Okay. Now what really happens? Let me just divide it with this particular thing, okay, and top of it you will be having your actin, myosin, actin. We learnt, right? So these things are called as extrafusal fibers. Extrafusal fibers. Actin, myosin, they have a combination outside. Outside is what? Extrafusal fibers. Extrafusal fibers. Fine. Now inside, if you see, we are having the muscle spindle that we call it as intrafusal fibers. That's it. We have extrafusal fibers, intrafusal fibers. So only I want to know that the stretch is mainly the muscle spindle. That much if you know is enough. Muscle spindle is located where? Intrafusal fibers. This is what I want to know. Right? Okay. Now what are those things? The extrafusal fibers and intrafusal fibers, they are parallel to each other. They are parallel to each other. Okay. So only each muscle spindle, it contains 3 to 12 intrafusal fibers. Each muscle spindle, it contains 3 to 12 intrafusal fibers. That's it. This you understand? Okay, these are all basic concepts you have to understand. Fine. Next important thing what I want you all to know is that, listen carefully, we have something called as primary endings, and then yes, secondary endings. Primary endings mainly contributes to what group of fibers? The answer is, it is group 1A afferents. 1A afferents. The secondary endings, if you see, it mainly contributes to your group 2 fibers. Primary endings, it mainly contributes to group 1A endings afferents. Secondary endings, it mainly contributes to group 2 fibers. Why I am discussing here? See, what really happens in phasic, we have 2 types, right? What are the 2 types? Phasic and tonic stretch reflex. See, in stretch reflex, I will be discussing the pathway in combination with this both. No need to worry. But what really happens in phasic, it mainly talks about 1A fiber. 1A fiber is what? Primary endings. Okay. See, phasic itself is what? It's a sudden stretch reflex. So the stimulus is about sudden stretch reflex. Tonic means sustained. So it is sustained stretch reflex. This is basic concept. So here in phasic, if you see, it is mainly of 1A fibers we discussed. What about tonic? Tonic contains 2 endings, primary as well as secondary. So only the fibers, if you see, is of both, that is 1A as well as what is about secondary endings? Group 2. So only right here group 2 fibers also. That's it. What we learned? Phasic 1A fibers alone, primary endings alone will come into role. Tonic stretch means both 1A and 2 fibers will come into role. Right? Now let us move on with the pathway. Stretch reflex pathway proper we are going to see. Listen carefully. Okay? Now what really happens? See, our first receptor is what? Receptor is what? Muscle spindle. I discussed how the muscle spindle will be, right? Intrafusal, extrafusal, we all discussed. Next, Next is what? Input. What is the input? These are your spinal afferents. Why it is coming into role? Because of intact nerve supply should be there. That is your input. Spinal afferents. That's it. Next important thing. What is the center? Yes. What is the center? Spinal cord. So your spinal cord come into role. What really happens? The spinal afferents, when it causes stretch, that is the input. It causes alpha motor neuron. It causes stimulation of the alpha motor neuron. You have spinal afferents. When it causes stretch, that is the input, causes stimulation of the alpha motor neuron. Because of this stimulation, it is going to cause a response. What is the response? Muscle contraction. That's it. It is going to cause muscle contraction because of the stimulation of the alpha motor neuron. Causes muscle contraction. Understand? Okay. Now what you have to remember is that only one synapse is needed. Only one synapse is needed for that alpha motor neuron to be activated. So only we call this as monosynaptic synapse. Monosynaptic reflex. And this monosynaptic reflex is the simplest one. Simplest form. Monosynaptic. Only one synapse is needed for the alpha motor neuron to cause stimulation, and that causes muscle contraction. Very simple. Monosynaptic reflex. Very important. Did you understand? Fine. On the whole, I want to understand the functions. That is, we know that we have two types. One is phasic, another one is tonic. What is the function? Very simple. What I want to remember is that phasic means it mediates tendon jerk. We discussed that also. Tendon jerk, and also it helps us. It also controls. Okay, it also controls rapid corrections in motor output. Why? Because we know that the phasic stretch reflex is by stimulating the primary endings of the muscle spindle. It's very fast, right? It is due to sudden stretch, right? So only rapid correction in the motor output. Next is what? Tonic. Tonic, if you see, it mainly maintains body positions. Very important. It mainly maintains body position. That's it. Because tonic stretch reflex itself, it contributes to muscle tone. Okay. So muscle tone means what? It is the resistance. It is the resistance of muscle to stretch. Because of this reason, it helps in the regulation. It helps in the regulation of posture. That's it. Very important point. Of posture. Understand? So this is about the stretch reflex. Next we will be discussing on the topic that is inverse stretch reflex. That is inverse stretch reflex. Okay, fine. So what really happens in inverse stretch reflex is that it's just opposite to stretch reflex. Stretch reflex causes contraction of muscle. Inverse stretch reflex causes relaxation of muscle. We are going to see how this relaxation of muscle takes place. That's it. how this relaxation of muscle takes place, right? Now, fine. This inverse stretch reflex also called as autogenic inhibition. We will see why this is called as autogenic inhibition also. Here, all are question mark. Fine. Now let us go on with the topic proper and let us know. Fine. Inverse stretch reflex, if you see, if you look at the receptor, what is the receptor for inverse stretch reflex? It is nothing but your GTO. What is GTO stands for? Yes, you have this GTO here also. That is the receptor. That is your Golgi tendon organ. Receptor, Golgi tendon organ. Right? See, every Golgi tendon organ, it encloses about 3 to 20 muscle fibers. 3 to 20 muscle fibers, very important. Now, what is the stimulus of this particular inverse stretch reflex? The stimulus is that it causes overstretch. Causes overstretch. That's it. Stimulus is overstretch, receptor is GTO, Golgi tendon organ, right? So overstretch is over. Fine. Now what about the afferent? Afferent or sensory is about group 1B afferents. Group 1B afferents are your causing overstretch. Yes or no? Afferent is what? Overstretch. Caused by group 1B afferents. Okay. What is the center? Center is what? Spinal cord. Center is spinal cord. Fine. Now what is the input we are going to give? Of course it is overstretch. Of course it is overstretch. That is conveyed through your IB. That is your inhibitory, through your inhibitory neuron. Through your inhibitory neuron. It's going to cause overstretch through IB, that is your inhibitory neuron. Now let us see what is the pathway, right? Okay, let me use different color. Fine. Now the pathway is that we have input here, that is overstretch, that is going to cause activation to your inhibitory neuron. We discussed inhibitory neuron, right? Input, overstretch, activation of the inhibitory neuron, right? Fine. This inhibitory neuron has got something that is glycine. This glycine is going to inhibit something called as alpha motor neuron. What we know, if you activate alpha motor neuron, causes contraction. If you inhibit alpha motor neuron, we get something called as relaxation. That's it. We get relaxation of the, that is the response, right? So glycine, alpha motor neuron, inhibiting alpha motor neuron causes relaxation. So here, this inhibitory neuron and the glycine, we call it as a Renshaw cells. Don't forget. Now what is the point I want you to know is that it contains one synapse and also this one, inhibition, that causes second synapse. There are two synapses involved, so we call it as disynaptic reflexes. Disynaptic reflexes. I forgot to say that the input is through IB. Don't forget, IB. So IB only, no, inhibited neuron, right? So IB fibers. Okay. So disynaptic reflexes. Two synapses, so disynaptic reflexes. This you have to know. Okay. We learned about the pathway of the inverse reflex. Now what they are going to ask you in exam is that differentiate between stretch reflex, and then inverse stretch reflex. They are going to ask you this. Very simple to write. You know the 5 components of reflex arc, right? Explain them. That's it. How will you explain? I'll help you. Stimulus. What is the stimulus of this? Stretch. Inverse means overstretch. That's it. Overstretch. What is the receptor? First and beginning. Receptor for here is muscle spindle. We saw intrafusal fibers, extrafusal fibers. We discussed in detail. Muscle spindle. Inverse stretch is Golgi tendon organ. That's it. What is the afferent or sensory? Here it is group 1A and also 2. Here it is 1B, 1B, right? Inverse stretch is 1B. What is the center? All are spinal cord. That's it. Center is spinal cord. Next is, what is the output? Very simple. Output is through alpha motor neuron that causes activation, but here alpha motor neuron causes inhibition. That's it. Alpha motor neuron causes activation. In the overstretch, that is the inverse stretch reflex, alpha motor neuron inhibition. Fine. What is the response? What is the response? Yes, it is contraction. There in the inverse is relaxation. That's it. Last one, you all know synapses. Yes, it is monosynaptic. It is monosynaptic, and in inverse it is, yes, disynaptic. That's it. If you know this, it's enough. Okay. We have another important reflex that is called as withdrawal reflex. Listen carefully. We have another reflex called as withdrawal reflex. What is this withdrawal reflex? They are called as polysynaptic reflex. Now you tell me, what do you mean by polysynaptic reflex? Yes, polysynaptic reflex. We have lot of synapses. Now let me give an example that when I give a pinprick on right foot, so on right foot I am giving you a pinprick. What really happens is that your right lower limb is going to cause flexion. Yes or no? Think and say. Pinprick on the right foot. Okay, your right lower limb is going to go into flexion. Similarly, your left lower limb, what will happen to left lower limb? Any idea? It is going to cause extension. It's going to cause extension. Why then left lower limb going to cause extension? To support, okay, to maintain support. That's it. This is about the withdrawal reflex. Understand? Okay. So with this, I finish off with the spinal reflexes. Thank you. Like and subscribe. Thank you. Have a nice day. Thank you.